Nothing. I want to sit right next to this fire. We were at a band competition yesterday, and I kept fussing about being cold, and somebody reminded me it was my first winter being skinny. So I had some adjustments to make. I think a few of those people are here tonight that made fun of me. I won't point them out. I'm going to tell you, up until about lunch, Richard, I didn't make fun of you when you cried, so you're not going to sit there and make fun of me when I cry. And I made a night. But thank you, brother. We texted a lot during that time. Stuck in the hospital together. Up until yesterday about lunch, I've been trying to figure out for 2 months what to tell you all. Because this one, I'm looking at all of you. This one's important. You guys saved me. I didn't have fight left. I gave up. 26 doctors gave up. One told me to enjoy Christmas with the boys because it'd be the last. I quit. Some of there's a little blonde that kept fighting. I don't know where she went.
Getting coffee.
And if you've never been blessed enough to feel a prayer, I truly hope you get to one day. Because it's different when you... I've prayed my whole life and been a Christian, but I never felt a prayer. But I've felt prayers. You know, there for the last couple of months, we were, 12 hours away from home, but we were never alone. I mean, we were never alone. It was pretty amazing. So up until about lunch yesterday, I thought, what do I tell these people? It's important. I've got to say something right to you guys. Somebody here needs to hear something or something. I don't know. And I couldn't figure it out. Couldn't come up with the right words to write down. Couldn't come up with notes. I've read scripture after scripture. Thought of story after story. Just wouldn't come up. So yesterday about lunch, I said, all right, that's fine. I'm done. I'll show up with an open heart. You just tell me. I'll let it out. So, I don't know, maybe right now. I'm just telling you, I'm going to lay it out. Because the story is not about what I went through. The story is about the hope. The story is about God. The story is about you people. The story is about the people that prayed for me, the doctors that saved me, that knew themselves they were sent from God. I mean, they never denied it. They never hid it. So I'm just going to lay it out for you. I'll tell you the story. You may look at me crazy after we're done. I think I've decided I want to share a few things that I've not shared with about 3 or 4 people. So I want to. I love you guys that much, and thank you. I mean that. So go back a year and a half ago. This all kind of started when Wes Irvin tried to kill me. I was probably getting in the best shape of my life since I'd been in, and well, not that I was ever in great shape, but I was in a lot better shape. He tells me I'm going to be giving a testimony, or I'm going to teach class or for the summer kids. So he picks mine to be at the bottom of, I don't know, some mountain somewhere that I had to hike down, and I think everybody got back an hour and a half before I did, and I finally made it back to the truck. And I mean, I was doing great. Great. And all of a sudden, I was like, man, my feet have been swelling weird here lately. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And by the time we got back to the truck, I thought I was going to have a knife to cut my shoes off. And they're all laughing at me about it. So I did what you do. I went to the doctor. I go every 3 months and get my blood work. And like, well, something weird here. I don't know what it is. So they gave me a diagnosis. We went with that. Went through a few tests. Nothing. Well, it kept going on. Well, then the swelling started getting worse. And went through a few more tests. Couldn't figure it out. And then I started to notice, you start getting that gut feeling that something's really wrong with you. And that's when you really don't want to admit it. And that's when you really don't want to go to see a doctor because you don't want to believe there's something actually wrong with you. And that's how I started feeling. So right about that same time, when I started getting in pretty bad shape, Cassie was losing the best friend of her life, cancer. Now I'm supposed to be taking care of her. And I can't. I'm doing everything I can every morning to get out of bed. And a lot of people don't know it. I would hide out. I would take my car and park it somewhere. Or I'd go to the office and say I had to run an errand. And I'd go somewhere and park my car. And I'd try to find a way to get a little bit of comfort, and I would lay there, sleep there a couple hours in a car wash or just wherever I could hide my truck so nobody would know. And trying to hide it because I didn't. She needed somebody strong, and I was trying to be that person. And that went on, and we were going to doctors, and it was like, no, that diagnosis is not right. So let's go see this specialist. And no, that diagnosis is not right. You know, we don't know what it is. So we're going to send you to this person. And that went on a few times, and then I got to hear those beautiful words that you can't wait to hear is, we don't know what's wrong with you, and I don't know if you're gonna make it. Wow. And you're the expert, right? Okay. Kind of how I felt. So I think that doctor was the first one that had ever had a conversation with me and said, how's your wife feel about all this? Have you all talked? You know, you've got things you need to get in order. And I was like, I hadn't told my wife. She doesn't know. And he said, well, we're gonna have to. And I said, I can't. And that was the night, about midnight, 12:30. Her phone rang. Of course, I didn't sleep. I'd stay up all night because I couldn't. I was in so much pain. And her phone rang, and it was Sean, and Vicky had passed away. And I was like, had a doctor's appointment the next day. And I went, got to have this conversation with your wife. And I said, she just lost her best friend. I said, I'm not going to walk in tonight and be like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I'm going next. I wasn't going to have that conversation. So that went on, went to a few more specialists, different places, traveled a little bit best I could. Yeah, boy, you got it. See, now if y'all notice tonight, you watch something, like we've got something planned, but every time I do this, that's right. Now that's how you plan to keep a crowd up, right? Yeah. And if we get real serious, I got to give them one of these. That's right. So we've got a few things staged and planned, but we went through that, and then all of a sudden, I woke up one morning, and it didn't feel like I woke up. And that's about the only way I can describe it. And I had hit it as long as I could hit it, or hide it, whatever. Sorry. My grammar's about as good as Wes's. But I can spell, so I got one up on you on that one. Yeah. All right. So, you know, Cass started getting involved. And saw a few different doctors, and then finally we reached out to my sister and started that process. And wow, right now I'm just kind of overwhelmed. There's so much. I'm overwhelmed. It's right here. Right here. So I got hooked up with this gastro doctor down in Hartford. Amazing man. You don't think you go to a specialist in Hartford, but there's this wonderful man who's hidden, came from Italy, been down there 35 years because he just, from New York, his family's from Italy, that's right. And just wound up there in Owensboro, and the guy is phenomenal. I was telling some people tonight, I'm going to have another surgery in a few weeks, and those are the guys that are going to do it because the Mayo Clinic, when they checked off on all their work, they referred to them as the gold standard. So I don't think I get any money for this, but I'll find out. But if you need some gastro work or good general surgery, I can refer you. I don't get any referral points for the Mayo Clinic either, but I may try. So we start meeting with these guys. And for the first time, Dr. Riccio, God bless him, what an interesting man. He said, we're going to get to the bottom of it. He said, I won't stop. He said, I won't let grass grow under your feet. And he said, I won't stop. He said, I'll get to the bottom of it. He said, I'll dig. How was I feeling? I was done. So, my pain, my life, 444 fluid. We didn't know that till later. That's what it was. If you've ever been, and I told somebody this yesterday, I said, if you've ever been in a really bad car wreck, or just, that's about the only way I can describe it. My body felt that way from head to toe. Nothing would work. We went 2 to 3 months. Well, actually longer than that when it all turns out. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't go to the bathroom myself. I couldn't, our morning routine when I finally did have to move was I cried and screamed while she put on socks. And then sometimes we get shoes on top of that. And my daily adventure was 1 or 2 trips to the bathroom, and then I would make it to a particular chair that she had got for me that I could sit in at the table. And that's what I did. That's what my life was. That's it. And I had two boys that would bounce in the house wide open, especially the little blonde one. And they had to sit at home and watch their dad die. And I mean, that's all it was. I died. I was gone. I was dead. I was hurting. There's a little spot on the wall past the foot of our bed, and we're getting ready to paint our bedroom, but I'm honestly thinking about painting around that spot because I stared at that spot for months. And while I stared at that spot, I thought about everything I'd ever done in my life and everything I wished I could do. And every prayer I said, God, let me raise these boys. Let me stay home just a little bit longer. All those things I would do. So sometimes every now and then when I need a reminder, I'll look at that little dot. I don't think I'm ready to paint over it yet. That's my excuse for not painting the bedroom, by the way, just so we're clear. Richard. All right. So they're working with me. They decide, I've already had procedures and stuff done. They decide they're just going to go inside of me and see what they can figure out. At this point, I have been told that I have stage 4 cirrhosis of the liver. I have somewhere probably between stage 2 and 3 kidney failure. My legs from the waist down would weep. It usually looked like I just got out of the shower because there was so much fluid that was pushing through my skin. The best way I can describe my color was probably concrete. And I just laid there and I just contemplated. I cried and begged to stay alive, and all I could think about was death. And if you've never been in that situation, I pray you don't have to. It's a little overwhelming to plan your own funeral. And the hardest part was trying to figure out, I knew Cassie, she's fine. She's tough. She's tough. She can go on. I don't know that I could have done what she's done. I know I couldn't have done what she's done in the last year. I'm not tough. I used to act like I was tough, but now I don't even act anymore. Yeah. Thanks, Candy. Yeah. That's the other woman that has helped save me. That's a fact. Yeah, okay. So we wound up going back and forth in the hospital in Hartford for a while, and they're going to do a procedure and just see if they can figure out what's going on. So they go in and do a biopsy of my liver. They're going to get a few cuts out of it because they want to make sure they get a good example. And Cassie didn't know this, and I didn't know it till later, but we got pretty close to all these people, and we're all good friends now. But I had gotten out of surgery. They had drained 19 liters of fluid off of me that day. So 45, 46 pounds. Of course, everybody was amazed because that was a record. They wrote it on this little board. It was pretty cool. So I don't have any records for like eating contests or gold medals, but I've got 2 records in the United States right now for fluid drains. So I actually had somebody tell me I should call the Guinness Book of World Records and see if I could get that. I don't know. I may. But they did all that, and everybody was nice, and they kept coming in the room and checking on me. And I guess even after all this, I guess my first real dose of reality was what happened that night. We finally convinced Cass to leave me alone and go home. She wouldn't leave me. I mean, she would not leave me. And convinced her to go home and get some rest that night, and they were going to take care of me for the next couple of days. I was fine. I had my sister right there, and I mean, if you've ever wondered, I mean, I guess what rock stars feel like when they go into hospitals, because they rolled out the red carpet. It was amazing. If you ever had the chance, go to a hospital your sister works at in administration. You get taken really good care of. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if the cafeteria fixes it or not. You can get it. You can get the food. It doesn't matter. It's magic. They had Subway sandwiches. They had cookies from a bakery down the street. It was magic how it all worked. But after Cassie left, I guess she left about 9 that night, 8 or 9. She was heading home to take care of the boys. They hadn't seen the boys in a couple of days. And the surgeon that we've become really good friends with popped back in the room. He'd stayed at the hospital all day to wait and talk to me. Didn't find that out till later that was actually the reason he'd stayed. And he came in, he said, "How you doing?" It was just me and him. I said, "Good." And he said, "Cassie, go home?" I said, "Yeah, she's gonna go home and stay for a couple of days with the boys while I'm here." And he said, "Today was rough." He said, "I don't have any good answers." He said, "Today was rough." He said, "Your liver looks like it's in cirrhosis." Yep. But he said, "When I cut it," he said, "it bled." He said, "Bright red blood." He said, "That makes no sense." And I was like, "Well, so what's that mean?" He said, "I have no clue." He said, "All I know is that means the story's not over yet." And he continued to say that. He said, but I wanted to talk to you. He said, I lost you today in there. I said, do what? Would you shove me in the corner and forget I was over there? I mean, come on, I'm an old country redneck. You got to be a little more clear than that. And he said, I got nervous when you stopped breathing. He said, because I couldn't get you back. And he said, I stayed calm. He said, we all stayed calm. He said, because you were not only just a patient, he said, you were Michelle's brother. And he said, that was serious. He said, we're family here. He said, I got nervous when you stopped breathing. He said, then I couldn't get you breathing. He said, I got really nervous when you turned gray on me. And he said, then I saw a little bit of blue in a few spots. And he said, then I watched your chest collapse, and I still couldn't get you to breathe. He said, I got scared. He said, I got scared. And he said he said, we just did what we could do. And he started sucking fluid out of me as hard as he could. And just one last little effort, they popped me, and awake I came. And he said, so it's serious. I don't know what this is. The story's not over, but it's serious. And he didn't want to talk in front of Cass. He said he wanted to have that conversation with me. So that's where we were at. So we turned to specialists in Brentwood, Vanderbilt, Nashville, Lexington, and Louisville. And nobody still has any answers. Grand total, just so I don't forget to tell you, I just love this number. It's always stuck in my head. There was 26 people that said I wouldn't make it. 26 people in this world are wrong. And they're only wrong because of God, so know that. Well, God and Cass. But that's because God sent me Cass. So that's how that all works out. And all of you all. So there we go. See, we're right back to square one. Richard. And we went to a few different appointments, and some of the people that had helped me so much in Hartford decided we were going to try a different course. And at this point, I needed to go ahead and give up. And I'm going to tell this. I haven't told this to many people. And Wanda, where are you at? You need to hear this. And I know this is odd for me to say this, but you need to hear this. Because you need to know what your son did. Chad hadn't heard this. Chad's not heard this from me. Okay. So I was done, and I was hurting, and I was tired of crying, and I was tired of being miserable. And funeral was covered. Life insurance everything was good. So I had to sit down in the bed, and couldn't take it anymore. I just couldn't. And I probably had one of the toughest conversations I've ever. It scares me now to think about it. But I sat on the foot of the bed, and I told the good Lord, I said, here's the deal. I said, I know suicide's a sin, but I said, you got to do something. I said, either right now, and I know you're not supposed to make deals, you're not supposed to talk to the Lord, but I needed him. I needed God, and I needed him quick. Cass was gone, so I thought, I'm just going to call Candy. I'll tell Candy to call Cass and tell her to bring the boys to their house, not to come home. I'll shoot somebody a message. I'll let Preston come get me. I said, it's all figured out. He said, you got two choices, Chief. I said, send me the answer, or I'm coming to see you in just a second. I said, that's where we at. I said, your choice. And as soon as I said that, and I was ready, I mean, it was seconds, my cell phone rang. And I reached back and got it, and I didn't recognize the number. Didn't realize I'd lost this number. I had this number and didn't realize I'd lost it. Put the phone back down. As soon as I put it down, it rang again. And it was a local number, so I picked it up. It's Chad Myers, out of nowhere. He said, man, I don't know what's up. He said, man, I just want to call and check on you. He said, I remembered, and this is what he said. He said, I remembered what it felt like to lay in a hospital. And he said, man, I beg God, let me raise those kids. He said, I'd really like to see a grandkid or two. Not too soon. But he said, I'd really like to maybe see a grandkid. But he said, if you'll let me raise my kids, he said, I think I'll be just fine. And he said, I'll be ready to go after that. If you just let me have that. He said, man, I know what you're going through. He said, I know what you're going through. He said, you want to raise those boys and you want to be around. He said, you just got to be tough, you got to fight. He said, man, I don't want to hold you up, so I just want to reach out to you. I said, love you, brother. Thank you. That was it. But I hung up the phone. And once again, God said, listen, dummy, I'm telling you, dum-dum, hey, listen. But he did that. There was no reason for Chad to call me. Just randomly called me. I mean, we talked when we passed by or something like that, but he did. And he said exactly what I needed to hear. So I was like, all right, we'll fight a little longer. I can handle this. I can take this pain. So we did. And let's just fast forward to Lexington. You want to fast forward to Lexington? What was it, December 25th? In case you all didn't know, no. I'm not as dumb as that sounded. I mean, I am as dumb as that sounded, but I'm not as dumb about that as it sounded. So, yeah, you talking about when I sat there with the boys? Or... Yeah, December 23rd was the last time I got the speech about liver transplant. Yeah. And no, that was May. That was April Fool's. Remember? Yeah, on December 23rd, that was, yeah. You want to talk about an interesting story? I was in an ER. I had 2 really good ER experiences. I was in an ER because everything was going bad. It was probably about, what, midnight? Yeah. Guy walks in the room. He said, well, your liver's in stage 4 cirrhosis. He said, your kidneys aren't working right. I said, I don't know, man. He said, we're going to give you some medication, maybe call somebody tomorrow. He said, not looking good. He said, they'll have your paperwork in a minute. Let you sign it. See if anything, let us know. I was like, okay. Well, I'm just going to run home and die real quick, and I'll let y'all know it to be done. I could just feel it. I can't describe it, but I could feel it. I knew the ride was coming. And I said, take me home. I said, I want to see the boys real quick before I have to go. I said, I want to tell them one last time. So we started out, got out of the hospital. I got to share this part. My discharge paperwork. It was a Word document on a white 8x10 piece of paper that said, follow up if needed. And I thought, man, you know, I really want to see the boys, but if you don't care to run this truck into a telephone pole on the way home, it'd probably help me out. I mean, that's where I was. And I rolled over. They finally got me in the truck because I couldn't get in the vehicle without even just losing it. She got me in the truck, and I rolled over to the side, and I was looking out the window, and she wanted to talk. So I'm going to talk. So I'm going to go home. I'm done. I said, you don't understand. I think that's the way I said. I said, you don't understand. It's over now. I know it is. There's no talking. There's no praying. I said, we're done. He knows where my heart is. Let's get it over with and go meet him. Just let me say goodbye to the boys. We didn't make it out of the parking lot, and phone rang. Put it on speakerphone. I don't want to talk. And I was told I didn't have an option. You got 3 choices in life. You can ride, you can fly, or you can ride in a motorhome laying in a king-size bed, but you're leaving out for the Mayo Clinic on Monday. It's not an option anymore, it's already done. You just let me know how you want to get there. So we finished planning out the weekend, and they had it arranged for me to leave out the Monday morning for the Mayo Clinic, and I thought, man, people like me don't go there. Important people go there. I'm not important, and I still don't believe I'm important. But I believe I have something to say, and I hope I can share that with you. I want to make that clear because I don't know that you've ever met more humble, more ignorant, but more humble of a person than me. And we said goodbye to the boys, and I was sitting in a chair at the table and in my pajamas, and I didn't want the boys to see how hard it was for me to get in and out of a vehicle. And so Candy took them. Candy came and got them, and she left, and then Cassie said, all right, you ready to do this? Most of that trip was me either screaming or crying, and we had a lot of spots where she would just shove her headphones in and turn her music up, and that was it. And we got there, and they rolled me into the ER. St. Mary's or St. Francis? St. Mary's. Went into the ER, and one of the craziest things I'd ever seen, they get me out of the car and set me in a wheelchair, and she goes to pull around, and they're taking care of me. And it was honestly the first time that somebody had started to take care of Todd. Because it wasn't, what are you here for? What's wrong? It was, how are you, Todd? Is that your name, Todd? How are you? And then once you said that, it's like, now what's going on? Why are you here? What can we do? While that was going on, there was nurses taking care of me in a wheelchair. A lady pulls up in a red van, hops out of the driver's side, and she said, my husband's dead, he's in the car. She's like, he's dead, I need help. And within 2.5 to 4 minutes, they had a full hospital room set up with this guy in it. bed right there on the sidewalk in front of the ER. And they're saving this guy's life. And they did. I got to watch him get rolled back in. But the whole time that's going on, those nurses never took their eyes off me because I was there and they were taking care of me. And I thought, wow, man, this is unbelievable. And then they wheeled us through, and I'll never forget this conversation. And I say this, if there's any of you goofballs out there that are unmarried, listen real close to what I'm getting ready to say. Because if you're married, you're already stuck. But, yeah. Hey, listen, it's the truth. You're stuck. If you're already married, you're stuck, okay? I said that very clearly. I know what I said. Because here's what happened. There was times that I couldn't use the bathroom correctly, and I couldn't do a lot of things correctly. And that girl right there has done things that no human being should have to do to themselves, much less another person, in the last year.
His dad married us, and I told him, I was like, we have to have a serious conversation, Bill.
Yeah.
There were some things you skimmed over in those vows.
Yeah. And as we were going through the doors back behind the ER, when they were going through the doors and they were wheeling me down after they'd waved me and done all this stuff and they were working with me, she's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they need to like change vows a little bit. She's like, I don't think kids are prepped for this right here. And it was true. And you know, within minutes, we sat there for quite a while they were getting everything staged out because there was triage. I wasn't dying right that second. And there was a lot of people that were. And they get me back, and within an hour, I probably saw 8 to 10 doctors in that room. And while those doctors were in that room working with me, there was doctors just sitting in another room that they were conferring with to make sure they didn't mess up and to make sure that everything was caught in that room. Now, grant you, I had an appointment that was 3 months away, but we were there, and this was on a Tuesday night, Tuesday or Wednesday. And they said, yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on. Don't really know what it is, but we're going to get you in the clinic. Here's what you need to do. And by here, they told Cass that. So we went to the room, stayed in the room. I laid in the bed and looked at, I was going to share pictures, but I decided not to. I've got this picture of this little fern. That was my buddy. If you've ever watched Castaway where he had a friendship with that volleyball, I got a fern. And that little joker's been everywhere with me, little fella. We've had a lot of, tell you what, me and that Fern's had some good conversations. He's a good listener. I mean, he really is. Yeah, she's parked the Fern next to my wheelchair. And she got me positioned in a bed to where I could look out a window and I could see floors 3 through 12 on that building next door, and I could see where the helicopters came in. And by golly, that's what I did. I talked to that Fern about the weather, about the helicopters. I got some life advice from it, some marriage advice, all kinds of good things from that Fern. And that Fern got close. And Cassie got up the next morning. The doctors had told her what to do, and she headed across the street to the Mayo Clinic. We'd been at the hospital that was connected onto the end, and she packed her backpack, packed her lunch, got her headphones, and all her fun stuff, and she said, I'm not coming back until you have an appointment. That's it. She said, I'm not coming back. She said, I'll not take no for an answer. And if you've never understood, you need to have an advocate for your health. You need to have an advocate. Wes, can you pronounce that for me? Thank you. A vodicate. That's it. A vodicate. You need a medical vodicate. That's what you need. So she packed all that up, bound and determined that she was going to get to whoever needed to get to me to save me. Now, grant you, we're a year into this, and everybody we'd seen had no clue and couldn't do anything for me. She gets over there and makes a connection that we still are on first name, well, you're on first name basis with all these people. CJ makes a connection with CJ. CJ said, yeah, let's get him in. Let's do it. This was on a Wednesday or a Thursday. No, that's fine.
I walked up. It took me forever to figure out where the Mayo Clinic is. This massive, massive complex. And so I started at the first thing that looked like an official desk of some kind after going through COVID screening. And like I said, I finally got up there. I was so sweaty. And so gross by the time I found my way up there. It took me a while. Got to the desk I finally needed to be at, and they said that I was welcome to come back every day and sit in the lobby and wait to see if there was an opening for one of the 2 or 3 specialists that...
3.
Yeah, one of the 3 specialists that were on that floor for that, I think it was the gastro department, which is where we thought we had to
Right.
be, because the story was liver, right? So I was like, all right, cool. There's loads of comfy couches, and there's a desk there. I can sit and sketch, whatever. Just walk-in. They had to be physically there. I got a little worried because we couldn't physically bring Todd, or I couldn't at least. I didn't think it was not possible for him to sit in that room for hours upon hours, days upon days, for that week that was spring break that we were there, and then I had off work anyway. And so CJ came through to talk to somebody about something. She works with the appointments in the back, and saw me, and I think I don't know if I was crying or if I had this look on my face, I don't know. But she came at me and said, I hear you're here for your husband. You guys were seeing the ER the other night. I have his records here, and he definitely needs to be seen. How long can you guys, you're from out of town? Okay. How many days are you willing to stay? And I was like, whatever. Like, if you need me to stay a week or two, whatever. We'll make it work. So I came back with an appointment on
The next Monday?
Monday. Yep.
The next Monday at lunch.
Yeah, the next Monday. Yep.
I'm gonna fast forward this. I'll fast forward through this fun part. I don't want to keep you here all night because I'll get dragged out. Monday, we met with the gastro doctor. Walked to the room, knew us by first name, knew my whole history. He said, "This is not what we're dealing with." He said, "It's not that." He said, "I think I know what this is." He said, "We're going to get you with a cardiologist in the morning." He said, "I think I know what this is." He said, "We'll let them figure it out." The next morning, we roll into a cardiologist. He comes in. He said, "Man, I'm 99.9% sure I know what you have." He said, "You'll need a surgery, but we can save you." He said, "You're at the right place." Now, I mean, when God decided to work this out, I'm not kidding you. I have never seen things move so fast in my life. And I realize now that I had to learn the story the way I learned it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have stuck. So I had to go through it the way I went through it. That was the way it was supposed to be. That's what made it real. So the next morning, we're meeting with Dr. Boylston, the Irish Terror. Whatever. I sat in an appointment one day for 20 minutes listening to him talk about Ireland right before I had surgery, and I actually raised my hand. They made fun of me. I was like, "If y'all don't care, I have a few questions." And that's a true story. That's a true story. He's like, "You just wait your turn. We're talking." And he said, "I'm 99.9% sure I know what's wrong with you." He said, "You'll need a surgery." He said, "We can fix you. You're in good hands." He said, "It's a good thing you're here." Todd, Cassie. He said, "You wouldn't have made it." He said, "You wouldn't stay with us if you wasn't here." He said, "The cool thing is we have the #1 cardiac surgeon in the world for that disease and that procedure." He said, "He's at this hospital doing research." He said, "That's who's going to do your surgery." It's the first time we met this guy. We've been in the room 20 minutes. And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'll die waiting on this dude." He turned around, got on his phone. He spoke with his office for about 15 minutes, turned back around. He said, "Yep, they think the same thing." He said, "We're going to run you through all the tests the next 2 days." And he said, "You'll meet with him Friday at lunch." The next 2 days, I had MRIs, CT scans, all the different versions of a heart cath. They went in through, they had a fluid drain. I'm going to tell this one real quick. If you've ever watched Willy Wonka where they took the little blueberry girl and squeezed her, okay, they took me in a room, they had these like 6 and 9 inch catheter needles where you put the needle in, then you pull the needle out and you get a little hose in there. It's a really good feeling. I had 21 of those through here. The doctor came in and she said, "Kiddo," I got called kiddo a lot. Evidently they thought I was young or just stupid. I don't know, they thought they just had to talk slow to me, I guess. Because the first thing was, "Oh, where are you from?" As soon as I talked, they'd be like, "Where are you from?" "Yeah, what do you do?" "Yeah, chew tobacco for life," or something, I don't know. So she came in and she said, "I just took 26 liters of fluid out of your body." She said, "That's over 50 pounds. She said, "I've never done that since I've been here, and I've been here a long time." And she said, "There's tons left in you," but she said, "We're going to stop there." She said, "And if you've ever wanted to diet, lose 50 pounds in 2.5 hours, it's an experience." When I sat up, my shoes fell off my feet, and I couldn't talk, and I couldn't breathe because there was no pressure, so they wrapped me like a burrito. That was fun. We went through all that, had a few more fluid drains Friday. After all the heart casts and everything else, this doctor comes to the room, he sits out in front of me. He's such a unique guy. He drains. I was getting drained about every 4 to 6 hours with catheters. It gets old after a while. The first 15 or 16 are pretty fun. After that, it's like, dude, seriously, man, if it's cool, I just know, And the whole time they're pumping, IV diuretics and all this stuff in him, like you're living, like I couldn't tell you. I watched a season of a show in a bathroom here. It was so cool. That's a true story, too. I really did. I was sitting there and watched a season of TV. So we get to Monday, and I had one last thing I wanted to do. I wanted something that said NCP and Mayo Clinic in a picture for Easton. I wanted that. So we took a picture of my hat on that morning, that purple gown, right before they took me to the spa treatment. They told me I was going to a spa treatment. It was like, what's this? And she, see this hair right here? And I was like, yeah. She's like, that's all you're gonna have. She said, everything else, it's going with me. And she was not lying. I mean, not lying. That's a good part though, I'm telling you. So Brother Steve called right about that time. I'm gonna get to this part and then I'm gonna wrap this up pretty quick, but I want you to hear this. And if you heard anything I say tonight, listen to me right now. And I mean, listen to me. Somebody here has got something on their heart that needs to hear this. I don't know which one of you all it is, but you need to hear it. Hear this, because that's the only reason I'm supposed to share this. Brother Steve called. He said, I don't know what's up. He said, we're gonna say a prayer. He said, I'm praying that there's such a presence of God in that room that nobody there can deny it. That was the prayer. It was a simple prayer, beautiful prayer. And I thought, well, of course God's gonna be there. I'm going to die, man. Let's get this. Cass said, I'll see you when you wake up. And I said, I'll see you later. And they rolled me out. And they told me the same thing they told me millions of times. She said, now don't be intimidated when you go into this room. She said, it's a little different here. Yeah, boy, everything there is different. Looked like something out of Star Wars. So here we go. You guys get to hear it. A few people have heard it. They rolled me into this room. It was huge. God, oh my gosh, it was so huge. It was overwhelming. Pay attention. This is real, and this is as real as it gets. They rolled me in the room, and there was probably 20 to 25 people. And she said, it's going to be moving quick. She said, we got a lot of stuff we're going to do. And she said, then we're going to move quick on you. And you're going to be in surgery all day. You're going to be out all week. You're going to be in the hospital for a month. You're going to be up there for a month after that. She said, it's going to be all right. And they rolled me in, and I can't tell you what it was. And I can't tell you what it looked like. But it was there, and there was 5 of them. And they were in the corners of that room. And they were as tall as the room, and they were as bright and as beautiful as anything I'd ever seen. And I cannot describe to you what this is. But it was power. And I mean, they were powerful. They owned that room. They owned everything in that room. They owned me. There was nothing that was out of their grasp. They wouldn't look at me. Can't tell you they looked like anything. But they were there. And I thought, oh boy, I was right. You know, it's one of those I was going to put on my tombstone. Told you I was going to die. You know, I mean, that's kind of where I was at. I was like, these guys are here. We're getting ready to take the ride. This is going to be wild. And then I got scared. Then I got real scared. I was like, oh, poop, I'm getting ready to die. I was like, if I've seen them, this is really over. Crap, I was joking. I swear I was joking. Give me 20 minutes. I mean, that's where my brain started. I was like, here we go. Because, I mean, they were there. And out of nowhere, that whole room stopped. And one of the ladies that had been there with me, because when you had your nurses, and all the doctors and surgeons and everybody, they stopped. She said, you got to calm down. We told you you're right where you need to be. We got you. They said, we prayed this morning. They said the nuns did their rosaries. And they said, we wrote your name in the chapel Bible. And I think Michelle and you did too. They said, we already know how this turns out. They said, this is our job. You're covered. They said, we know how it turns out. You be at peace. You're supposed to get some rest. We'll see you when you get up. I'm telling you. Crest and L on olive. Just calm down. We got you. And they just kept saying it. We know how this turns out. And there's never been more of a presence of God in front of me in my life. And I'm telling you, if there's something on your heart, let it go. If there's something you're holding on to, let it go. I wish I could show you what I saw. And I wish I could let you feel what I felt. Because there's nothing more real and there's nothing stronger in this world. There's nothing. And then the next thing I know, I hear a cracky, squeaky little voice and my sister. And this lady telling me that, oh my gosh, he's actually breathing on his own, you know? And then they tell you they're going to yank that tube out of your throat. And you're like, hey, this should be good. And then it was like, wasn't good. Wasn't fun. Supposed to be out to probably Thursday or Friday. I was awake that night. Convinced them to let me have breakfast in the chair next to the table, next to the bed the next day. Got up and walked there 2 steps on my own. By Wednesday, we were walking laps in the ICU. Same thing they always said, this don't happen. They said, this doesn't happen. This just doesn't happen. Well, guess what? It's happening. You wanna know why? Anybody got any question? I'm telling you why. Because for whatever reason, God's got something for this goofball right here to do. And I don't know if somewhere I'm gonna cross paths with somebody needs to hear something I gotta say or understand that there's always hope. Do not forget it. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what's going on. There is hope. There is hope. There is love. There is all those things. I'm telling you there is. I know there is. And by that Friday, we were out of the hospital. 2 weeks later, we were home. And before the surgery, this study that I'm in ranged me as a 59-year-old man at the end of life with organ failure. We went back, was it August? End of August? Or 1st of September. We went back up there and I went through all the study again and all the blood work and all the things. And when it got done, I turned 44 in September. It listed me as a 40-year-old flat, healthy male. And once again, Bolson's like, man, wow, we just don't see this. He's like, later on in life, you're gonna need some medication. Later. Right now, we just stick with baby aspirin. He said, I think we're gonna reduce your medication you're on by about half again. That's what it was. Oh, if you've ever seen a fat guy have a weird moment. The night they were trying to shove ice cream down my throat. And I was like, do I really have to eat all this? And then I stopped and I was like, who am I? I don't know what just happened. I was like, so I'm gonna share this. I wanna share this and I'm gonna wrap this up. But God blessed me, and God blessed me that day because I did get to die in that room. I was blessed. I was blessed with suffering for a year, and I was blessed with dying that morning. I died because that was my real baptism. I've been a Christian my whole life. The old me stayed. Whatever crap I was carrying around, and all the stupid ways that I looked at this world, and I've talked to doctors about this, it left me that day. That's what they took. They stayed in that room long enough to know that everything was cool. They covered me. They covered me. There was no way a mistake was going to be made in that room, and then whatever crap was left over that they dumped outside of my body, well, the Mayo kept some of it. I've got the certificates to prove it. I've got some parts up there, left some parts. They took the rest, and they freed me. And I've never loved as much as I've loved. I've never cared as much as I've cared. And when you set a foot in the grave and played with the dirt and you get to come back, life's different. So listen to me. I was blessed to suffer. I was blessed to suffer so I could talk to people like you that love me and save me. And that's all it's about. There's hope. There's always hope. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what situation you're in. I don't care what's on your heart. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how deep you're in it. There's hope. There's always hope. There's a million other stories I could tell you, but that's kind of where I want to leave it. I just want you to know that. And I want you to know I love you. I want you to know I thank you. And I'm in, and God has lit some kind of fire in me. I don't know for sure what I'm supposed to do yet, but I'll do it. And my heart's open. And I hope maybe somebody heard something good tonight. But there's a little something that's been on my heart. Easton, thank goodness. I called him about, 1 o'clock today? I said, hey, do you care to learn the chorus of this new song real quick so you can sing it tonight? Yeah, okay. YouTube it to me. All right, okay, cool. That's it. And he shows up, want to run through it? All right, cool. All right, we're good. So we've got the lyrics. I want to pass it out, but it's a really simple chorus. And I want you to hear it because it's so true. And I know we have COVID, and I know we're cold, and I know we have a lot of things going, and I'm sorry I've kept something, so long. But if you want to stand up, I'd like to stand up and sing this. And if you want to pray, we'll pray. I'm going to pray. But if you want to pray, we'll pray. Because I'm telling you it's here. I'm telling you it's here. God is with